Okay. Yeah, so today technology didn't assist me. Good morning. Novella is my name. I'm your English coach here to help you support your learning in speaking this language without feeling overwhelmed or anxious about it. In today's lesson, in the Facebook group, people voted to have some tips as to the use of must, have to, should, and I just added ought to, just in case. It's always better to have more than less. Good. So let's start digging in. Of course, whenever you want to, just feel free to comment and ask questions. If you're watching this video after the live session, feel free to comment anyway, so I can read your questions and then reply to you. What else do you need to know? This lesson will be entirely in English, but if you have trouble understanding, if you feel you need some switching to the Italian language, feel free to go on my blog post. On the blog post, I wrote an article about these modal verbs, and you can download for free the PDF file with all the explanation and the example. Good. Without any further ado, let's move on with must. Start with must. So when do we use must exactly? So first, the easy part, what I think is an easy part. You use must every time you want to express a deduction. For example, you look very tired, you must have worked very hard. Okay? Or, I don't know, you've been traveling all day long today, you must rest now. Okay? Or she must rest. Please remember, must is a modal verb. You don't conjugate it. It's always must. I must, you must, she must. Okay? Negative form, must not. Then you use must when you're expressing an obligation. Yes, that's standard. That's what we learn also in high school, I think. Obligation, but also instructions, really. For example, if you have taken exams in as to, I don't know, English certifications or whatever, they always read out or they play the instructions, and they always say you must write your answers in blue ink or in black ink. Okay, you must. And then, of course, obligation, I don't know, you see it a lot when driving, for example. So, you must stop at the traffic light if it's red, okay? Or you must turn right at the next intersection. Good. There is a slight overlapping between must and have to for the last example. Okay, in this last example, you can decide whether to use must or have to. It's up to you, no big difference. And it's when you're stating or expressing your point of view. For example, if I tell you, I don't know, John is a very nice person, you must meet him, or you have to meet him. It doesn't really change. When you're stating your opinion, those two overlap, and you can just use freely whichever of the two you prefer. There is a super strong difference, however, when we refer to the negative form. Must not, in its negative form, refers to something that is absolutely forbidden, that you really, really are not allowed to do. One example could be, I don't know, for example, you must not smoke inside public buildings. Okay, you must not smoke inside public buildings. So this is really something you are not allowed to do. It's not permitted. Then we have to. Have to is also another verb to express obligation. As we saw before, it's kind of overlapping with must when you're expressing your opinion. Anyways, you also use have to for external obligations. For example, if I tell you, I don't know, on Monday I have to work from 9 to 6, or every day I have to work from 9 to 6, I am stating something that is not my choice. Somebody else decided it for me. Okay? So I have to work from 9 to 6 every day. You use exclusively use exclusively have to. If you want to travel through tenses, if you want to travel through time, so to speak, because of course have to must be conjugated. You need to conjugate the verb have to. And so, for example, you say she has to work, or she had to go to the doctor in the past. She will have to go to the supermarket in the future. Okay, with have to, you need to conjugate the verb so you can move through tenses, which is something that doesn't happen with must. Must, it's must. It's not I will must. It's not I musted. Okay, can't even really say that. Super wrong. Yes, and then the negative form, have not to. Have not to, it's super different than must not, okay? Have not to expresses the idea of the need. You don't need to do something. Something that is not necessary, really. I mean, you can do it, but you don't really need to. For example, I don't know, I don't need to go to the supermarket this weekend. I have quite a lot of food in the fridge. Of course, if I want to, if I really wish to, I can go to the supermarket, okay? But it's not necessary. So I don't have to go to the supermarket. While if I say I must not go to the supermarket, it means that somebody else is expressing an obligation about it, okay? It's a strict rule. You must not go. Some people, some students I have, often ask me about the difference between have to and have got to. There is no difference. I have got to go home. I have to go home. I have got to, what do you have got to do? I have got to work, or I have to work. They're both the same thing, really. Just decide whichever form doesn't create confusion to you, okay? And then it's okay. What else? Yes, colloquial form. Every time you have got, it can be moved into gotta. You've got to go. I've got to go. Okay, this, please be aware, it's super colloquial. Do not use, I don't know, in professional context, business English. Just say the full form. And then, last but not least, we're moving on to should and ought to. Should and ought to are the conditional forms of the verb dovere, per cui dovrebbe, dovrei, okay? They mean the same thing. So again, be able to distinguish when you hear them, their meaning, but you can decide, of course, whether to use should or whether to use ought to. Okay, ought to normally, Italian people, when we see it written, we get quite scared because there are a lot of letters that you do not know how to say them, basically. So it's written O-U-G-H-T, but please be aware that every time you have a G-H written, in English, 99% of the time, you do not pronounce them, okay? Ought to. I don't know, you have the same when you say hi, slide, okay? GH, you tend not to pronounce it, so don't get frustrated, don't get scared. Ought to. When do we use ought to or should? Well, like in Italian, as I told you, when do we use it? We use it to give advice. I don't know, again, you look tired, you should go to sleep, or you ought to go to sleep. You can use should and ought to express a point of view. I think the government should let us travel, ought to let us travel, whatever. Of course, prediction, where's Mary? She should be here by now, okay? With these modal verbs, there are two songs that really can help you in learning them, in memorizing them. And yes, if you have been following me for a while, you notice that I speak a lot about music. As a matter of fact, in my monthly newsletter, every first Monday of the month, I send a newsletter. If you want to subscribe, of course, just feel free to do it. You find the link in the button on Facebook and on my website, novellabenedetti.it. But yes, every once a month I send a newsletter, and the newsletter speaks about an idiomatic expression found in songs. I really think with songs it's super easy to remember things, or I found it very easy for me, so I strongly encourage you to use music to learn new words and vocabulary expressions. So the song I suggest you which should is Should I Stay or Should I Go by The Clash. The lyrics are quite nice, I think, and it's the story of this guy who's super in love with this girl, but the girl is quite moody. She's like on the emotional roller coaster, and he really doesn't know what to do. So he's like, okay, please, honey, tell me, what do you want me to do? Should I stay? Should I go? If I stay, there will be trouble. If I go, there will be double. So please tell me what to do. It's a super nice song and very catchy, by the way. The song with O2, it's another favorite of mine. It's by Alanis Morissette, and it's called You Oughta Know. Again, colloquial form. Ought to becomes oughta. You oughta know. And again, if you're in a professional context, do not use colloquial forms. Just use the standard ones, okay? Anyways, You Oughta Know by Alanis Morissette, it's super nice, and the lyrics are about this girl whose boyfriend broke up with her in a very bad way. She was cheated, and he is now with another girl, and yes, it's a must listen song, especially when you break up with somebody and you're very angry. I totally suggest it. I listened to it myself loads of time, long time ago when I had stupid boyfriends around. Anyway, Should I Stay, Should I Go by The Clash? You Oughta Know by Alanis Morissette. And of course, I put the links to these songs in the blog post on my website, okay? So on my website, you have the downloadable free PDF with the lesson in Italian and the links to these two songs. So that was it for today's session of Learning English. Wrapping up, just doing a quick recap, we saw must, have to, should and ought to. Must, you use it for deduction. You must be tired. You've been working all day. You use it to express obligations or instruction. You must answer the question in blue ink or in black ink. Or you must turn right at the next intersection. You can use both must and have to when you are referring. Hello, Alessia. You can use both must and have to when you're expressing an opinion. Jim is very nice. You must meet him. Jim is very nice. You have to meet him. Must not expresses a full obligation, something that it's not permitted. So an obligation not to do it. You must not smoke inside public buildings. Moving on to have to, we saw it to express your opinions. Jim is very nice. You have to meet him. You also have to use have to with obligation. I have to work every day from 9 to 6. And of course, you need to use have to every time you're moving from the past to the future. I had to, I will have to, and so on and so forth. Have not to, it's not necessary. You don't have to go to the supermarket. The fridge, we still have food in the fridge. Okay? Have got to, have to, both are fine. They are the same. Feel free to choose whatever you prefer. Should and ought to, dovrei o dovrebbe. I should go home now, it's very late. Government ought to do more for young people. Mary should be here by now. And then we had the two songs connected, Should I Stay, Should I Go by The Clash and Alanis Morissette, You Ought to Know. That was it for today's lesson. For any question, feel free to write them in the comments below so I can reply to you. And yes, if you have any further question or doubt about any kind of English topic, really feel free to suggest them. And of course, we can have a class about it. Enjoy the weekend.